What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Buzz. Tom Aspinall has sparked major controversy after firing back at Cyril Gane following a recent social media post. Gane shared a series of photos and training clips on his Instagram showing himself working out alongside Tai Tuivasa. In the caption, Gane mentioned that he still does not have a confirmed fight date or opponent, but emphasized that he continues to train hard and stay prepared as the holiday season approaches. What seemed like a routine training update quickly escalated when Aspinall jumped into the comment section with a highly aggressive response. Aspinall claimed that the reason there's no fight date is because he is not yet medically cleared to compete and is scheduled to undergo surgery. He went on to directly accuse Gane of causing his injury, referencing what he described as disgusting fingernails, and accused Gane of cheating. Aspinall ended the comment by promising to return soon and smash Gane's face once he is healthy. The comment immediately caught the attention of fans and MMA media, as it was far more personal and hostile than typical fighter banter. However, the situation took another turn when the comment was later removed. At this time, it remains unclear whether Aspinall chose to delete the comment himself or if Cyril Gane decided to hide or remove it from his post. Regardless of who removed the comment, the incident has added fuel to the ongoing tension between the two heavyweight contenders. Fans are now speculating whether this heated exchange could accelerate talks of a future matchup. Once Aspinall is fully recovered and medically cleared to compete, the rivalry appears far from over, and many believe this confrontation has only intensified anticipation for a potential showdown inside the octagon. But before we jump into the next story, we have a small favor to ask. If you're enjoying the content, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon. It really helps us out, and ensure you'll never miss an update. Move on to another news. Daniel Cormier and Chael Sonnen recently shared strong opinions about Conor McGregor's discussed potential return, particularly regarding the rumored White House fight card. Both analysts suggested that if McGregor does not compete on that card, his ongoing claims of a comeback may no longer be taken seriously by fans or the MMA community. McGregor has not fought since 2021, when he suffered a devastating broken leg in his loss to Dustin Poirier. Since then, he has repeatedly teased a return, but those promises have yet to materialize. Cormier expressed skepticism, stating that he does not believe McGregor will ultimately appear on the White House card. He questioned whether McGregor would continue to manipulate media narratives if the event passes without his involvement, as he has spoken about returning for nearly 5 years without stepping back into the octagon. The discussion then turned more personal, with Cormier jokingly suggesting that Sonnen is one of the few people who still believes McGregor at times. He compared Sonnen's optimism to someone who keeps giving chances despite repeated disappointment, suggesting that most fans have already stopped believing McGregor's comeback claims. According to Cormier, if McGregor does not fight at the White House, it could mark the end of his credibility regarding future returns. Despite differing tones, both analysts agreed on one key point: the significance of the White House card itself. They acknowledged that the event would be stacked with elite talent and likely be an incredible night of fights. However, they emphasized that the only way it could truly become the biggest card in MMA history is if Conor McGregor is on it. Cormier concluded by stating that regardless of whether fans love or hate McGregor, his presence elevates any event to an unmatched level. While the card would still be impressive without him, McGregor's participation is what would turn it into a historic spectacle. Sonnen agreed, reinforcing the idea that McGregor remains the single biggest draw on the sport, even after years of inactivity. Move on to another news. Paddy Pimblett has shared his blunt opinion on the idea of Jake Paul stepping into the boxing ring with former heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua, and he is clearly not impressed. Speaking about the rumored matchup, Pimblett made it very clear that he does not believe Jake Paul has any realistic chance of competing with someone of Joshua's size, power, and experience. Pimblett described the potential fight as completely absurd, questioning how Jake Paul could seriously believe he belongs in the ring with an elite heavyweight boxer like Joshua. He pointed to the massive size and physical differences between the two, emphasizing that Anthony Joshua operates on an entirely different level. According to Pimblett, the matchup would be extremely one-sided, with Joshua's strength and boxing pedigree posing an overwhelming challenge that Paul would not be able to handle. While Pimblett admitted that many fans would love to see Joshua dominate the fight, he also sarcastically suggested that perhaps Jake Paul would need all the help he could get just to survive. He mocked Paul's repeated complaints about height disadvantages, jokingly proposing that Paul should find creative ways to make up for the physical gap rather than continuing to bring it up in interviews. Throughout his comments, Pimblett's tone was dismissive and critical, reflecting the belief shared by many fighters and fans that Jake Paul's success has come against carefully selected opponents rather than elite-level boxers. In Pimblett's view, facing Anthony Joshua would be a completely different reality, one that would expose the limits of Paul's boxing abilities almost immediately. Ultimately, Pimblett's reaction highlights the skepticism surrounding crossover boxing matches involving established champions. While Jake Paul has built a massive platform and attracted attention with his fights, Pimblett believes that stepping in with a world-class heavyweight like Joshua would be a step far beyond his capabilities. According to Pimblett, the outcome would be inevitable, with Joshua's power, experience, and physical dominance leaving little doubt about how the fight would end. Move on to another news. More fights have officially been added to the growing lineup for UFC 326, further strengthening what is shaping up to be a stacked event. Paulo Costa is set to take on Bruno Feita at UFC 326, which is scheduled to take place on March 7th. Both fighters enter the matchup with strong momentum and recent victories, making this a highly anticipated clash in the division. Paulo Costa is coming off an impressive unanimous decision win over Roman Kopylov at UFC 318 this past July. That victory marked an important step forward for Costa, showcasing his durability, pressure, and ability to control a fight over 3 rounds. He will be looking to build on that performance and re-establish himself as a serious contender with another dominant showing at UFC 326. Bruno Feita, meanwhile, heads into the fight riding the confidence of a major win of his own. Earlier this month at UFC 323, Feita secured a victory over former title challenger Marvin Vettori, a result that immediately elevated his standing in the division. With back-to-back high-level performances, Feita now has an opportunity to make an even bigger statement by defeating a well-known name like Costa. UFC 326 is expected to be headlined by an exciting matchup between Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira, a bout that has already generated significant buzz among fans. In addition, a high-profile featherweight showdown between Renato Moicano and Brian Ortega is also reportedly scheduled for the card, adding even more depth and star power to the event. As previously reported, another notable bout has been added as well, with Reinier de Ridder set to face Caio Bahala. That matchup was confirmed earlier this week and further strengthens an already impressive lineup. With multiple compelling fights now confirmed, UFC 326 is quickly shaping up to be one of the most exciting cards of the year. Fans are already debating potential outcomes and matchups, and anticipation continues to build as the event draws closer. Move on to another news. Manel Kape has made a strong case for why he believes he deserves the next flyweight title shot following his dominant performance at UFC Vegas 112. Kape delivered a first-round knockout victory over Bruno Silva, a statement win that immediately reignited discussions about the title picture. Speaking on the Believe You Me podcast with Michael Bisping, Kape explained why he feels his resume, momentum, and recent performances separate him from the rest of the division. Kape addressed the circumstances surrounding recent contenders, stating that opportunities were created by injuries and timing rather than consistent dominance. While acknowledging that other fighters stepped up and did their job when given the chance, he questioned whether they truly proved themselves against top-5 competition. Kape emphasized that he did not believe certain wins were as decisive as they appeared, pointing out that statistical breakdowns showed closely contested fights despite late knockdowns changing public perception. He also spoke about the current champion, Alexandre Pantoja, making it clear that he respects him as a legitimate title holder. Kape explained that Pantoja capitalized on a technical mistake during the bout, noting that errors in high-level jiu-jitsu can instantly end a fight. While he maintained that the better fighter may not have won on that particular night, he still recognized Pantoja as the rightful champion due to the result. Kape then shifted focus back to his own accomplishments, highlighting how he made a dangerous and respected opponent look easy in his most recent fight. He pointed out that this same opponent had gone toe-to-toe with elite fighters and had victories over top names in the division. According to Kape, the way he dominated that matchup speaks volumes about his current level and readiness for a title opportunity. Confident and unapologetic, Kape stated that he has the strongest argument, the best narrative, and the most compelling story in the flyweight division right now. He emphasized that he predicted exactly how his fight would unfold and then delivered on it, letting his performance speak for itself. In his view, the evidence is clear, and he should not need to further explain why he deserves the next shot at UFC gold. Move on to another news. Belal Muhammad recently shared his thoughts on the idea of Khamzat Chimaev potentially moving up in weight, suggesting that Chimaev could even find success at heavyweight due to his elite wrestling ability. According to Muhammad, Chimaev's grappling strength is so high level that weight classes may not limit him in the same way they do other fighters. Muhammad explained that Chimaev has made it clear he does not want to fight certain opponents because of regional and cultural ties, particularly involving fighters from Chechnya and Dagestan. He noted that there is significant history behind those decisions, and it is understandable that no one wants serious issues to arise from matchups that go beyond competition. At the same time, Chimaev has been calling out Alex Pereira, which has generated major excitement among fans. Belal said he would be excited to see either matchup happen, but questioned how realistic the Pereira fight actually is. He pointed out that Pereira has already been discussing a move up to light heavyweight and potentially even beyond. If Pereira continues moving up, it could leave openings across multiple divisions. Muhammad suggested that this scenario could create an intriguing opportunity at 205 pounds, where a fight between Gigi Prochaska and Chimaev could make a lot of sense and deliver fireworks. The conversation then turned to the possibility of Chimaev competing at heavyweight. Muhammad stated that Chimaev's wrestling is strong enough to translate even against much larger opponents. He referenced recent footage showing Chimaev lifting and controlling John Jones during training, using it as an example of Chimaev's raw strength and grappling dominance. In Muhammad's view, those moments show that Chimaev could physically handle the demands of heavier divisions if he chose to go that route. Ultimately, Muhammad admitted that it is still unclear what will happen next. He does not know if Chimaev has officially commented on his future plans or weight class intentions. However, he emphasized that the situation is complex, with deeper history involving Kape, Nurmagomedov's team, and Chimaev, making certain matchups understandably sensitive. Regardless of the direction Chimaev chooses, Muhammad believes his skill set gives him multiple paths to success at the highest level. Move on to another news. Tyron Woodley has opened up about his upcoming boxing match against Anderson Silva, which is set to take place this Friday on the Jake Paul vs. Anthony Joshua card. According to Woodley, preparing for Silva has pushed him to a level of intensity and focus that he has not experienced since his days as the UFC welterweight champion. Woodley explained that Silva was never someone he imagined competing against earlier in his career. They fought in different weight classes, and Silva was always viewed more as an icon than a potential opponent. Woodley described Silva as a fighter the entire MMA world respected, someone who never needed trash talk and instead let his performances speak for themselves. In his eyes, Silva represents the purest form of a martial artist and is widely regarded as one of the greatest of all time. As Woodley reflected on his future in combat sports, he began training again simply to test himself and rediscover his passion. He pushed his body the way he used to during championship camps, just to see where his level still stood. To his surprise, he realized he had not trained with that kind of intensity since preparing for world title fights. Those moments brought back memories of his longtime coach Duke Rufus, who had since passed away, and Woodley said he felt a renewed sense of purpose and spirit in the gym, almost as if something was telling him he still had more fight left. Shortly after posting about a potential comeback, Woodley was contacted by promoters, which quickly led to discussions about facing Silva. Woodley said he immediately loved the matchup because it genuinely motivates him at this stage of his life. He made it clear that he has no interest in fighting young, up-and-coming athletes looking to build their resumes off his name. Instead, he wants opponents who challenge his legacy and give him an opportunity to do something meaningful. Woodley expects Silva to show up at his absolute best and emphasize that preparing for anything less would be a mistake. While he avoided giving specifics about strategy, he stressed that Anderson Silva excites him as a competitor. Woodley believes that defeating a legend, especially in decisive fashion, can be a career-defining moment. In combat sports, memories are short, and he knows that a dominant win over Anderson Silva could reshape how his career is remembered. Move on to another news. Tyson Fury has launched a fiery verbal attack on Anthony Joshua ahead of Joshua's upcoming boxing match against Jake Paul, delivering one of his most aggressive rants in recent memory. Fury revealed that he had been sent a video clip of Joshua making comments about the dangers of boxing, including remarks suggesting that serious harm or even death can occur in the ring. Fury strongly criticized those comments, arguing that Joshua is far too experienced and far in his career to be speaking in such dramatic terms, especially given the context of the fight. Fury mocked Joshua's situation, pointing out that at 37 years old, Joshua is nearing the end of his boxing career and is now preparing to face a YouTuber-turned-boxer rather than elite heavyweight contenders. He suggested that Joshua's extreme language was nothing more than an attempt to sell the fight and create artificial drama. According to Fury, such talk is unnecessary and embarrassing for a former world champion with Joshua's resume. The former heavyweight champion then escalated his comments, turning his attention directly toward Joshua. Fury dismissed Joshua's recent performances, referencing his knockout loss from over a year ago and questioning his standing among the elite. He ridiculed the idea of Joshua being portrayed as a fearsome threat, contrasting that image with what he described as a decline in form and credibility. Fury went on to emphasize the difference between himself and Jake Paul, making it clear that if he were ever to share a ring with Joshua, the outcome would be far more serious. He stressed that he is not a smaller opponent or a crossover fighter, but a true heavyweight who thrives at the highest level of the sport. Fury portrayed himself as the real benchmark Joshua has failed to overcome. To conclude his rant, Fury doubled down on his criticism, openly stating that he would not be surprised and would even be amused if Joshua were to lose to Jake Paul. Framed such a result as further proof of Joshua's decline and a humiliation that would cap off what Fury described as a disappointing chapter in Joshua's career. The comments have sparked widespread reaction across the boxing world, adding yet another chapter to the long-running rivalry between two of Britain's most prominent heavyweights.